Welcome back to the John Fredericks Show. We have John Miano on the line. John, are you there?
Yes, hi.
Hey, great to be back. I'm glad you called. We got in touch with you. I thought you were freezing up there. We couldn't get you. We tried a couple times.
Oh.
However, we're winding down the year, John, and we thank you for coming back on with us. Colonel Mike here with Colleen. John is out with his producer, Michael. It was 7 degrees when we woke up down here this morning in Chesapeake, Virginia. And I wanted to have you on to review the end of the year with some of the stuff that you do with the Center for Immigration Studies. And also there's a lot of news and chutzpah about the H-1B visas, and there's just another guy who was convicted, I guess, in Alexandria, Virginia, I read, a visa scam, visa mill, only 23 months in jail. John, talk to us. Tell us what's going on.
Well, we have a complete mess in the immigration system. In case anyone here didn't notice that, what's going on? Okay, in the large scale, President Trump has started cracking down on the H-1B abuse. In response to the government reports calling for this, in response to the widespread abuse going on in H-1B. For example, in the case that you were describing with the guy getting 23 months for H-1B fraud, he had committed 900 cases of fraud. So this wasn't just a little thing. So the fraud is going on is massive. And notice what the response is from the mainstream media. Mainstream media is now saying, oh, look at nasty Donald Trump. He's going to keep out all the world's best and brightest people. In fact, I was reading in Mother Jones. You know, Mother Jones is a very liberal publication. Mm-hmm. He has been opposed to H-1B for a long time because of its adverse effects on labor. Now that Donald Trump is working to crack down on H-1B, Mother Jones has flipped around and is now attacking Trump for doing the things that they've called for years.
Mm-hmm. It's just like RT News. RT News has all left Democrats doing the shows, but apparently RT is a bad channel now.
Yeah. And then what we've had in the last couple of weeks is Donald Trump's administration announced their regulatory agenda. And so the regulatory agenda is the plan of things the plan of regulations that are expected to come out in the next year. Sometimes they get delayed to the following year. And what happened in that is there were a lot of regulations dealing with various programs involving immigration. H-1B was among them. The work on student visas was in there. The work by spouses of H-1B workers. So the coming year should be big in the regulation front in regard to H-1B.
Talk to us about, there was you and another gentleman, excuse me, I think that was blogging, mm-hmm. about a school in Northern Virginia that's a big capsule coming up. And I understand, according to the article, it was a state agency, small state agency in Virginia, that basically put these guys out of business or shut them down. And DHS, Homeland Security, for 3 years sat on it. What's happening with that school?
Well, that school right now it's been shut down, and now the students are now trying to find other paper schools to go to. Mm. So what we have in the United States is these schools in name only, that they get student visas, bring the people in, and then they just dump them. And one of the things that they can do is they can authorize them to work in the United States for a while. And so you have these schools where people don't attend college at all. So this one was shut down by the state of Virginia, and now the students are now trying to find other schools, make deals with other schools to attend, so they can continue the scam elsewhere.
But John, how is it that a state agency? What is the name of this agency? The SHEV or something like this?
Oh, okay.
State Higher Education Council or
State Higher Education Council. I think it was in Virginia.
I think it's called SHEV. Yeah. But anyway, the acronym is SHEV. And they're the guys that basically put the pedal to the metal, put them out of operation because they saw it as a visa mill. And somehow DHS, Homeland Security, knew about this. It was on the radar. They were watching it for 3 or 4 years, never stepped in, never checked anything. So basically, what is happening with Homeland Security? Where are they in on this? You know, the visas, the F1, the H-1Bs, the F1s, the F2s, the J-1s. This is ridiculous.
Remember, they've gone through decades now of just being in a fog. I mean, and under the Obama administration, everything went. You know, it was completely as much open borders as they could allow. And in fact, I think in some ways that right now the morale in DHS has picked up because suddenly they're being told you can actually go and do your job. Well, in the past 8 years, it's been don't do your job, just turn a blind eye to all the abuse that's going on.
You know, my opinion, my own personal opinion, John, I think it's a lot about CYA. Mm-hmm. The problem with working for the government, as you know, some people reach 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years, and it's a CYA. I don't want to be bothered with nothing. I got another 26 months to go. You know, I want to just get my retirement, go open up a firm, and then I want to consult with DHS, you know, as a government contractor. That's the problem. Everybody wants to get to the finish line, and then in between, you don't know what drops into the country and how much danger is involved, you know. And that's just one school. That's just one school. And by the way, the school is 8 miles. I just looked it up on the web. The school is 8 miles outside of D.C. How much closer can it be? Come on, John.
Yeah. And we had, DHS actually did set up a scam where they created the University of Northern New Jersey, where they had people coming into the United States to attend this no class school. A few years ago, I was told by a reporter who was working on a story, and unfortunately the reporter got laid off, and he said that there was a university in Brooklyn whose office was above a Burger King. And they're bringing in foreign students.
But you know, as an attorney, you could do stuff where you'll get 5 years, 6 years, 7 years for stupid stuff, okay, state or federal. Yeah. And this guy, I think it's 23 months. That's nothing. 900 cases of fraud. Come on.
Well, I mean, he got made millions off of this. He got $500,000 grant from the state of Virginia.
Wow. Under whose administration, McAuliffe's or the one before?
Yeah, McAuliffe.
He got a $500,000 grant?
Grant from the state of Virginia and this. So he's probably built a great nest egg. He'll get his 23 months, go back to India and live like a king.
So in other words, crime pays. That's the bottom line. Crime pays. You know, this is what I don't understand. I grew up in the 60s, and, you know, the mob used to take book, as you knew, if you lived in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. They were bookies and so on. They gave these guys light time, and then they got into other stuff. But you could do 5 to 7 to 12 years for a lot less in crime than what these guys do with the Visa Mill program. So basically, this white-collar Visa Mill stuff, you know, you make enough money, you figure you need $200,000 for the lawyer, right? And then you need another $100,000 for odds and ends. So you build that. It's like a bank, you know. You just know what your risk is and what what your costs are, and you take in $5 million, and it costs you $500,000 for lawyers and expenses. You go sit in a place for 24 months, you work out, you come home, you got $4 million.
Yeah.
So crime pays.
Contrast, one of the stories here we had in New Jersey is that there was a woman named Sheen Allen who had a gun, a licensed gun in Pennsylvania. She drives into New Jersey, gets pulled over, and she tells the officer that she's armed, you know, so that we don't have a little incident like they train them to do. Oops, suddenly she's in jail, facing a mandatory 6 years in prison, and she spent a total of 48 days in prison before the governor pardoned her.
Well, you know I remember the first year of the Christie administration, I heard another story like that, where a father and son went to Pennsylvania, and they went hunting. They came back across the border, and they somehow turned in their guns or showed the guns to the state police, and he was in jail for up to 2 years trying to get out to get Christie to look at the deal because for some reason, I don't know, whatever happened coming over the border, even though he showed he's bringing his guns back into the state and he was licensed, he was a hunter, this man spent 48 months in jail before Christie lifted a finger.
So this is, I mean, it shows. But what it illustrates is that you have someone just doing something accidental who leaves their house with every intention of doing good in the world, no ill intent whatsoever, and spent 48 days in jail, and was facing 6 years in jail. And here you have a guy who has organized, basically engaged in organized crime. I should say it is organized.
It is
crime.
organized. It's RICO. It's organized crime. They're very organized, John.
And he gets, basically a slap on the wrist, and that's typical, unfortunately, with the immigration laws. The penalties for violation are generally very low.
So if you are an entrepreneur today and you're listening to this show, just set up a visa mill, make a few $1 million, have your costs in there, allocated for your attorney and expenses, right? You walk away with $4 or $5 million, and then you could go live in a nice place. And besides, John, let's talk about how many jobs are taken. I mean, you have a book called Sold Out. I just remembered her name. I couldn't remember her last name. Michelle Malkin. Michelle Malkin and you wrote a book called Sold Out, which was a good seller, big seller. And you spell it out for them. It's in there. The CPT program, the OPT program. People don't understand. A student could come into this country within 3 weeks, pull down a job for $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. And all they invested to get here was maybe $2,000, $3,000. That's not a bad return, John.
Yeah. Well, what people don't realize is how these programs have expanded. Like when the H-1B program was created in 1990, it was limited to $65,000 a year. Now about double that are coming in each year. Plus, under Obama, they opened it up to some of the spouses, which is now about $30,000 a year. We had the OPT program, which is work on student visas, which is created entirely through regulation. That program is now $150,000 a year. So we have the amount of foreign labor is huge, and the public doesn't realize what's going on, and that's why their wages are down and why their kids can't find jobs. Well,
the OPT CPT program was put into place by Congress, or am I right or not?
No, the OPT was not created by Congress, entirely by regulation.
Wow.
There is no authorization whatsoever from Congress for people to work on student visas.
So why are we keeping this program? I thought this was already put into place by Congress.
Yeah, it's been going on openly, and people think that they assume that Congress must have authorized it, and instead it's been this thing going crazy with the administration. And this started back. OPT actually started back the very end of the Bush administration. It was one of the things they rushed out the door before they left. And we have this giant system of basically law going on that's occurring through regulation. And under Obama, he brought this to a high art. That previously, under previous administrations, what they did is they would authorize work under regulation, and they'd do a song and dance on why this was legal. They wouldn't really say why it was legal. They would just do it. Under Obama, he claimed that the president has absolute unlimited power to allow aliens to enter the country and to work in the country.
Is that true?
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things we hope that the courts will say no to finally. But in the case, for example, of OPT, I've had a lawsuit challenging OPT that's now before the courts for 10 years.
Wow.
One of the problems is the courts just will not make decisions. Except it seems that when they want to challenge Donald Trump, the courts can go into high gear and make a decision immediately.
Or if you're an American citizen and you violate the law, they go into high gear because they're going to get your money or your house or whatever they have to take from you. But for some reason or another, people who break the law to get here don't have to obey the law. That's when the country is upside down, John. John, we're coming down to the last minute. Anything else you want to say before we sign off for the year?
Well, the big thing we need to do is hold Donald Trump's feet to the fire. I mean, we see good intentions there, but the lobbyists and the deep state are going to fight back. You can see the media is going against him. If if you see nasty things in the press attacking Donald Trump, write a letter to the editor, tell them why they're wrong, and support Donald Trump when he's doing something positive, and criticize him when he does something negative here.
Well, that's a good ending, and thank you for coming on the show, John. I wish you a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we look forward to talking to you in the new year.